Hello, my lovely students. A very hearty welcome to this mind-blowing platform, Physics Wallah. My name is Nupur Sharma, and today we are going to do a lovely chapter, and that is from the Diary of Annie Frank. Yes, in this chapter, we are going to read about a lovely girl, a lovely teenage girl. But she's met with an ill fate. She dies at the age of 16. Yes, we are going to read about a victim of Holocaust. In this chapter, we are going to talk about little bit about history as well. Okay, now let's start the chapter. We are going to have an overview, then line by line explanation of the chapter, and in the end we are going to discuss some important points, as I told you. Now, she's Annie Frank. Annie Frank was a beautiful girl of 16 years, and she dies. Unfortunately, she dies, and why she dies, that is even more painful. That is even more painful to hear. Now, her name was Annalise Mary Annie Frank. Okay, she was born on 12 June 1929 and she dies in 1945. It means at the age of 16. It is an extract from the autobiography of a young girl, Annie Frank. This chapter is taken from an autobiography. Do you know what's an autobiography? Autobiography is when we write about ourselves. So, Annie Frank also wrote about herself, although she writes about herself in a diary. Now, her diary was, changed into a book. Okay, it was converted into a book by his own father. See, she was a Jewish girl who wrote while in hiding with her family and her 4 friends in Amsterdam. Now, in Amsterdam, during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. During World War II, Germany attacked on Netherlands. It had occupied Netherlands. And her family had moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, but were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into Netherlands. Nazis, they extended and they occupied Netherlands as well. And as persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. Now, as we know about Nazism, you have read about Nazism. In Nazism, we know that Adolf Hitler, he used to hate Jewish people. He blindly believed in racial discrimination, and he used to think that Jewish people are the lowest people in the, this racial strata, and he used to hate them so much so that he used to, torture those people. He used to kill those people. It's called Holocaust. He practiced Holocaust, and she also was a victim of Holocaust. But students, while reading this chapter, you'll actually fall in love with this lovely little girl. Okay, she's such a lovely girl. She has such a lovely heart, and we'll read about this in the chapter, and we'll feel very bad. No, feel very bad for her while reading the chapter, because we'll form an emotional connection with her. So what really happens is that her father, Otto Frank's office, they were hiding in Otto Frank's office building, and she was writing her diary then. Now, as I told you that you will have an emotional connection with her. How you will have it? In the chapter, you will see a photograph of Annie Frank, and below the photograph, this is written. This is a photo as I would wish myself to look all the time. Then I would maybe have a chance to come to Hollywood. See, just like another teenage girl, she also had a lot of aspirations. Her aspiration was to look like that. Look like she was looking in the photograph. She was looking very beautiful in the photograph, and she wished that I should look like this always. I should never grow old. I should always look this beautiful. And if I look so much beautiful, I will maybe have a chance to go to Hollywood. She wanted to go to Hollywood. She wanted to become an actress. All the girls we know here, most of the girls, they want to become actresses. They want to, look beautiful. They want to remain beautiful. And Annie Frank also had, such hopes. But her hopes were shattered when she was, sent to an concentration camp. Now, let's see After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camps where Anne died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen within days of her sister Margaret Frank. After 2 years in hiding, they hid for 2 years. They were hiding in a bunker. They were basically hiding in their father's office. Okay, they were hiding there, but they were betrayed. They were betrayed maybe by someone they knew, and they were transferred to the concentration camps. You know what are concentration camps? Concentration camps were the areas where, Hitler used to keep all those people whom he hated, all the Jewish people and all the gypsies and Dutch people, and used to torture them. And basically she also died. She also died here of typhus. Typhus is kind of an infection where, there are fleas everywhere in your body. There are different types of fleas, there are different type of lice in your body, in your clothes, and you die of it because of the infection. And she died in Bergen-Belsen within days of her sister. Her sister Margaret Frank also dies there, so it's quite tragic. Her father Otto Frank, he was the only survivor of the group. When he returned to Amsterdam after the war ended, to find that her diary had been saved, as I told you that Annie Frank was writing everything in her dear diary. She was writing everything in her diary, and that was preserved. When his father went there, he saw, okay, my daughter's diary is here. He thought, convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. The Diary of a Young Girl. Basically, he wrote a book. He thought that this diary should be published. People want to know about the victims of Holocaust. Okay, people want to know that how people were actually feeling when they were hiding from Nazis, when they were constantly in the fear of death, when the people were constantly under the fear of death, how they were feeling. He thought that everybody wanted to know that. That is why he published this book under the name of The Diary of a Young Girl. The diary was given to Annie Frank for her 13th birthday and chronicles the events of her life from 12 June 1942 to the final entry on 1 August 1944. So these are chronological order. All the entries are in chronological order. As you know that we write in diary. We do write in the diary so that we can write everything. We can write our feelings, and we do write it daily. So everything she had written, everything that she felt during her stay there and while she was hiding, she wrote everything. It confided everything, and that is why it was published. Now, it was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. It was written in Dutch. It was originally written in Dutch. Annie Frank wrote it in Dutch, but it was translated into several languages because several people, people of different, regions, they wanted to read this diary. They wanted to know that how the people were feeling at that time. Several films, television and theatrical productions, and even an opera is based on this diary. So, people, as I told you, that people want to know about it. That is why this book was adapted into a lot of movies as well, television and theaters as well. Described as a work of a mature and insightful mind. As you can see, here it is written that she was very mature. When you read this now, you'll come to know that she is very mature. She is very mature and she is very insightful. Insightful means that she has a sight beyond. She, has something. She thinks beyond her mind, and that we can see in the chapter as well. The diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. Anne Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. There were several Holocaust victims, but she was the most discussed of them all. She was the most discussed of them all because people were actually able to read about her. People were actually able to read that how the people basically felt when they were hiding. When they were hiding from Nazis, when they were basically always under the fear of death. Now, let's move forward. Okay, starting the chapter. Writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. Now, Annie Frank, she starts by writing this, that writing in a diary is a really strange experience. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. Now, when she starts to write the diary, she has all the feelings of a normal person. When a normal person starts to write a diary, they think that okay, it's a very strange experience. We also feel that like that only, that nobody is going to read the diary. Why are we writing a diary? We ask ourselves that why are we starting to write a diary? Now this is the biggest irony. When Anne Frank is writing the diary, she is thinking that who would be interested? Neither I. She is thinking that neither I will be interested. Why do we write a diary? So that we can read about what we thought at that time later in our life. In future, we can read. And she is thinking that why would I read? Or why would somebody else read? But she didn't know. She didn't know while writing the diary that yes, everybody in the world would be interested. Thousands, thousands, or not thousands, millions of people are going to read this diary. And she didn't know that, but she is very much susceptible while writing the diary, that nobody is going to be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old school girl. Oh well, she says, okay, oh well, it doesn't matter. I want to write in the diary because there are a lot of things that I want to get off my chest. There were a lot of things, there were a lot of secrets, there were a lot of things that were going inside her head, and she wanted she wanted someone to confide it with, and she could not tell those things to anyone. That is why she said that I decided to write a diary. Paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. Now she is saying that paper has more patience than people. Indeed, it is true that paper has more patience. When you are telling someone to people, they might, interrupt you. They might ask questions from you. They might judge you. But paper doesn't do that. Paper has a lot of patience. When you write on the paper, it has patience. It is going to listen. You can write, you can actually puke out all the feelings on the paper, and they are not going to complain. That is why she says that it has more patience than people. She was thinking all of this while she was deciding whether to go out or in. It happened on a day when she was feeling a little depressed, when she was not feeling well. She was very unhappy, and she was sitting like this. She had chin in her hand, and she was thinking, what should I do? Should I go out or should I stay in? She was bored and listless. She did not have any other interest. She did not want to do anything, and she was sitting at her home. I finally stayed where I was, brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience, and since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff bagged notebook, grandly referred to as diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it won't probably make a bit of difference. Now, while starting to write the diary, she is thinking that okay, let me write the diary, and nobody is going to read that. She was brooding, she was sad, and she was thinking that yes, paper has more patience. Yes, she confirms, she reassures herself, yes, paper has more patience. I should not tell these things to anyone else, and this diary nobody is going to read because this is personal. Okay, diary is supposed to be personal. Diary is something you must have learned writing the diary in class 9th. And what did you learn? That diary is a very personal thing. We do not expect anyone to read our diary. We write the diary so that we write something in the diary which we cannot tell anyone. There are secrets, the things, the feelings that we hide from everyone, we write it in diary. That is why she is saying that she is not planning. She is not planning for anybody to read her diary. That is why she says that I am writing it, and nobody is going to read that. So probably it won't make any difference. So I can write anything in the diary. I can write all my feelings in my dear diary. It was grandly referred to as diary. First, she calls it as stiff-backed notebook. Stiff-backed because obviously it had a very hard cover. So that is why she calls it a stiff-backed notebook. Now, I'm back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. Now she's coming back to the point that why she started writing the diary. I don't have a friend. Let me put it more clearly, since no one will believe that the 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I'm not. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. Now, she is giving a justification, trying to explain that why she started writing the diary in the first place. She's telling that, okay, I do not have any friend. I do not have any friend, but she also explains that I'm not alone in the world. I have a family. I have a loving family. I have a father. I have a mother. I have a 16-year-old elder sister. I have about 30 friends who know me very well, who I can call friends. Okay, she has friends, but she says that she doesn't. Why? She says, I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. She's saying that I do have parents, I do have a good home, I have lovely aunts, I have sister, and everything. On the outside, it looks that I'm very happy, but I'm not very much satisfied because I do not have a true friend. This happens with us as well. Sometimes we think that, okay, we have a room full of friends, but there is nobody that we can, share our secrets. She doesn't have anyone. She doesn't have anyone who she can call her true friend. She doesn't have a true friend, and when she is with her friend, she is only thinking about having a good time. She's only thinking about enjoying. Everything's okay, let us enjoy, but she does not, share everything with her friends. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Now she's saying, I can't bring myself. She's not able to gather that courage that she can share her secrets. She cannot talk about anything else, but she can talk about the ordinary things. She talks about her home, other things with her friends, but she cannot talk about her own personal feelings. She cannot bring them any closer, and that is the problem. She says, maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. We do not confide in each other. It means that we do not, get private with each other. We do not talk about personal things with each other, and with each other, she means all her friends. With all her friends, she cannot confide anything with them. She cannot share her personal things with them. That is why she's saying that she's alone in the world, and she cannot, not alone in the world. Outside, but she's feeling very lonely. Friend, she's saying, in any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately, they are not liable to. And even she confirms that unfortunately, they are not liable to change. She is certain that the things are not going to. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to share my personal things with anyone. This is why I have started to write the diary. Now she comes to the point that is why I started to write the diary, because I needed a friend. To enhance the image of this long-awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do. But I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm call this friend Kitty. Now she's also saying that in a figment of her imagination, she has always imagined having a true friend. It's always in her mind that yes, I need a true friend. My true friend should be like that. This is why she's saying that now, as I've chosen a good friend, I have chosen a true friend. That is my diary. That is why I'm not going to jot down everything. I'm not going to write down all the details of my day that, okay, like ordinary people do. Ordinary people, they write like a journal. They write everything. Okay, I woke up at this time. Then I did, all the things. I prepared breakfast and I got ready and school and this and that. She said that no, I'm not going to do that. I am going to call this friend and decides to give that diary. She decides to call her Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to, if I were to plunge right in, I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, much dislike doing, saying that I am not going to jump right in. See, she's so mature, she's so intelligent, she's so clever. She says that okay, if anybody reads my diary someday, if anybody reads my diary, and if I directly plunge in, if I directly jump into the things, nobody is going to understand a word of it. That is why it's very important that I should tell something about myself. I firstly, she tells that why she is writing the diary, what actually forced her, what actually compelled her to write the diary, and then she's saying that I am going to give a brief sketch about myself, going to tell a few things about myself. Now, acha, it is also written, much as I dislike doing so. She dislikes doing. She doesn't like doing so. Doesn't like it. She does not want to write anything in the she does not want to share her personal things. But today she's doing that so that people should understand her at least while a diary. Now, my father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margaret was born in Frankfurt in Germany. Now she starts by introducing her father. She's giving an introduction of her father. She says that my father is the most adorable father, he's the most lovable father. Has a lot of love for her father, that we can says that when he was 36 years old and her mother was 25 years old, they got married, and also has a elder sister, name is Margaret, and she was born in Frankfurt in 19 years older to her. I was born on 12 June 1929. She also tells that I was born on 12 June. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. Okay? My father immigrated to Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margaret and I were sent to Aachen to stay with her grandmother. Margaret went to Holland in December and I followed in February, when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margaret. Now, how she's explaining? She's explaining that first, her father goes to, Holland. Father goes to Holland in 1933. Then her mother followed him. Her mother followed in September. Then Margaret and Anne Frank, they went to Aachen to her grandmother. Then Margaret went to Holland in December and she followed in February. Now, what really happens, they didn't go at the same time. Firstly, father went and she goes to Holland. Then she was plunked down on the table as a birthday present. Sometimes this happens. Your parents say, okay, you need a birthday present. Your younger sister is your birthday present. Although children do not like this, they want something else. Maybe her sister was expecting a doll or something, but she was plunked on the table. She was kept on the table, and she was said, okay, she is your birthday gift, and you have to keep her. You just have to make her happy. You can play with her and can be friends. So this is how she explained that how they started living in Holland. I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in first form. The sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cooperus, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. The summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with. Now she is telling something more about herself. She's sharing her details about her school. She said, I started with, and she was there until 6, and then also telling about her, her school. Also telling about her teacher, Mrs. Cooper. She also the headmistress of the school. That while they were departing, when she left the school, Mrs. Cooper's and she, both of them were in tears. That is why we come to know that yes, Anne Frank was very emotional. She was very emotional. That is why she was attached with her teacher as well. And when both of them departed, both of them had tears in their eyes. Both of them were very emotional. They said a very heartbreaking farewell. And then she explained her grandmother. She says that her grandmother fell ill and had to have an operation. So her birthday passed with little celebration. So obviously her grandmother was not feeling well. That is why her birthday that was celebrated 1941. It was celebrated with very little celebration. They didn't celebrate it much because obviously her grandmother was having an operation. Grandma died in January 1942. Grandma passed away in 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration was intended to make up for the other, and grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. Now, saying that her grandma passed away. Her grandma passed away in January 1942, and she was expecting that this birthday would, because on the last birthday, my grandma was not feeling well, but, but her grandma passed away in 42, so that's why her birthday couldn't be celebrated too. Now, grandma's candle was lit with the rest, like we do, like in Hindu culture as well. We do something to respect to who are pass away. So in Jewish, culture also, they light the candles of the people who die. So this happened, and says, and that brings me to the present date. After sharing all these details, she comes back to June 1942 when she actually starts to write her diary and the solemn dedication diary. Now, before everything that happened before 20 June 1942, she just gave us a gist of that. She told us everything. She told that how was, how she started to write a diary, how she decided to write a diary, how emotional she was while leaving her. So Mrs. Cooperus was also her headmistress. We write about the people who are very close to our heart. Those people, Mrs. Cooperus and her grandmother, both of them were very close to her heart. That is why she was writing about them in her diary. We write about our own feelings, and what kind of feelings can a 13-year-old girl have? Okay, these kind of feelings they write about the people whom they love, and love love her grandmother. She's also saying that nobody knows how much I miss my grandmother. She never says it. She never tells people that yes, I miss my grandmother, and I have actually dedicated a little bit about my grandmother in my diary. It was a big thing for her, and she did it. And dearest Kitty, our entire class is quacking in its boots. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. Now, dearest Kitty, it's her first entry in the diary. She's saying our entire class is quacking, our entire class is chattering. There is a huge commotion in the class because in the forthcoming meeting, the teachers are going to decide that who will pass and who will not. So basically, she's trying to say that there is a lot of commotion in the class, and people and the children are discussing, the students are discussing that who is going to pass the class and who will be kept back. Half the class is making bets. Gian and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, Cian and Jax, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet. Now she is saying that everybody is betting, everybody in the class is betting. They are putting a bet. They are saying, no, see, you will pass, you will pass. And so like we put a bet. But she's saying that Gian is a friend, I are laughing because the two boys who sit beside, behind us, they have, staked their whole saving, their whole holidays, save the holiday, as we can, as it happens in the foreign countries, that children, save some money during the holidays, Christmas or New Year. They save some money. Maybe they work some volunteer work, or they work extra, so they save some money. Now she says, from morning to night, it's you are going to pass. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. So all the students are arguing with each other, and they are saying, see, you will pass. No, I'm not going to pass. You are going to pass. So everybody is kind of, saying that, okay, they are not confident enough. They are saying, yes, the other person is going to pass, but we are not going to pass. And that is going on in the class. Even Gian's fleeting glances at my angry outbursts can't calm them down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back, but teachers are the most unpredictable earth. Now she is saying even her friend is staring at her because at this point Anne Franks is getting a little bit furious. She is getting angry. She is getting angrier because she cannot actually believe that what the students are actually doing. She says that half of the class should be kept back. Half of the class should be kept back. Oh, sorry, a quarter of the class, 1/4 of the class should be back. They should fail in the exam because they are absolute dummies. She's saying that all of them are stupid. I don't think that they deserve to, get promoted. But she's also saying, I'm not sure about it because the teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. Now we come to know that what she thinks about her teacher. That I cannot say about teachers. What teachers not say that? And who's going to pass, who's not going to pass? Angrily, outbursts saying, yes, no, 1/4 of the class should not pass. They do not deserve to pass. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. Make it. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. Now she's saying that I'm not, worried about myself and my girlfriend. She's definitely sure that, okay, I am going to pass. My girlfriends are going to pass. Girlfriends here means her female friends. All her friends, she's pretty sure that everybody is going to pass, but she's not sure about maths. Actually, maybe she's scared of maths and she's that we keep on telling each other that we should not lose heart, and they are trying to console each other. They're actually doing this to keep everybody in confidence. Pass, yes, do like that. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Keesing, the old foggy who teaches maths, annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. Now she also tells that I get along with all my teachers. I'm happy. I am, comfortable with all my teachers, and there are 9 of them, 7 women. But there is one teacher, and that is Mr. Keesing. Mr. Keesing, the old foggy. She's calling him old foggy. She's saying that old teacher, he's always annoyed with me. He's always annoyed with me. He's always frustrated because I talk a lot. See, Annie Frank, we'll come to know in the chapter that she is very talkative. And because of her talkative nature, Mr. Keesing doesn't seem to like her. He says, I talked so much, after several warnings, he assigned me extra homework. An essay on the subject, chatterbox. Chatterbox? What can you write about it? I would worry about that later. I decided. I jotted down the title in my notebook, tucked it in my bag, and tried to keep it. What actually happened was that she used to talk so much that one day, Mr. Keesing, he got very angry because he had already given him so many warnings, but didn't pay any heed to it, and she kept on talking. That is why he said, okay, now you do one. You'll have extra homework. You write on the topic chatterbox. The chatterbox. A chatterbox. Now she says, what can I write about chatterbox? When she was given this sort of homework, she starts to think in mind, what can I write about a chatterbox? Then she says, okay, I'll worry about that later. And she very confidently, she writes down the topic in her notebook. She tucks it in her bag. She keeps it in her bag very, okay, I'll think about it later. And she tried to keep quiet. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my that evening. Later that evening, when she had already, completed all her homework, this topic caught her eye. Where her eyes fell on the topic, and she started to think, okay, I should write on this topic. It's given. It's kind of a challenge. I should definitely write it. And she started chewing the tip of her fountain pen when actually they're very quite nervous. We're thinking something. Start to, chew the tip of a pen. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with arguments to prove the necessity of talking. She also accepts that, okay, anybody can ramble on. Anybody can write, anybody can write nonsense about any topic, and we can, like we do not, when we do not know the answers, what we do, we tend to write in big letters, and we leave a lot of space that teacher may assume, okay, the answer, the length of the answer is quite good. She also thinks of doing it, but okay, anybody can do that, but I have to do something actually to come up with a good idea. She wanted to convince Mr. Keesing that yes, talking is better. Talking is a good thing. She wanted to prove the necessity of talking. She wanted to prove it. She took it as a challenge. Okay, Mr. Keesing has given, I'm going to actually prove it, and I am going to convince him. I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote the 3 pages Mr. behind me and was satisfied. What she did, children, she actually wrote, she wrote 3 pages, and she did not ramble on. She did not, write in big letters. She did not, leave big spaces, but she actually wrote. She wrote convincing words, and she was quite satisfied with her art. She was quite satisfied with her work. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control, but that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit, since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there is no much you can do about inherited traits. See how clever she is. How cleverly she put all the blame on her mother. She says, oh, no, okay, talking is a student. I have to talk, and I do talk. I'll try to control it. But I may not be able to control it because my mother talks so much. I have actually got it in my genes. It's in my genes. It's in my DNA. My mother talks so much. That is why I talk so much, if not more. And she is saying there is nothing you can do about inherited traits. There is nothing you can do about the things which are written, which are transferred in our DNA. So very smartly, she has, used science to prove her point. She has used this thing to prove her point. It was quite clever. Mr. Keesing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. This time it was supposed to be an incorrigible chatterbox. Mr. Keesing had a good laugh. Now, she was not expecting this thing, but Mr. Keesing, he took it in a very positive manner, and he took it as a humorous joke, and he started laughing on it. But after that, she again started talking. Annie again started talking, and she was, trying to get out of the second lesson. She was trying to actually not do the second lesson, and she was trying to convince that, okay, I should not do the second lesson, and she was trying to talk her way out of it. Again, Mr. Keesing realized that she is not going to improve. Let me do something. I should give her another homework, and that was to write on the topic an incorrigible chatterbox. What is incorrigible? Incorrigible means something that cannot be corrected. She is a chatterbox, but she cannot be corrected. I handed it in, and Mr. Keesing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. However, during the 3rd lesson, he had finally had enough. Any Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack Quack, said Miss Chatterbox. Now what happened? Again, she was given a homework. Again, she tried to prove her point, and she was successful in doing so. She was so much successful in doing so that Mr. Keesing, this time he was convinced, and he did not say anything to her for the 2 whole lessons. For the 2 whole lessons, he did not interrupt her to talk, and he did not use to interrupt her. But after several warnings, because during the 3rd lesson he had enough, he was, yeah, she is not stopping, I should give her another homework. And he gave her the homework. Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. So what we are doing, we are saying that Mr. Keesing is actually with her. Was given a homework, she proved her point. Again, she was given a homework, she proved her point. But now he has had enough. Okay, she'll keep on doing that, but she'll never stop talking. I should give her another homework. The class roared. I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of chatterboxes. The class roared with laughter. The class had bouts of laughter, and she also had to laugh. she said that okay, even I had to laugh. But now she was thinking in her mind, okay, what to write more about this topic. She said that she had lost the ingenuity. Ingenuity means that originality. She had lost the originality on the topic of chatterboxes. She couldn't, think about more ideas to write about it. It was time to come up with something else, something original. My friend Sunny, who good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end verse, and I jumped for joy. Now, he was so much, bound on doing this homework, and she was thinking, what should I do more? I should, something original I should write. She was, very much convinced that yes, I have to take it as a challenge. That is why she said, what should I do now? I have no originality left. I have no words left to write on letterboxes. Here comes her friend San to help. She says she offered her help. She said that okay, she very good poetry, and she said, okay, I'm going to help you, and I am going to help you to write the verses. Now she jumped for joy. She was so much happy. Okay, my friend is going to help me, and that too, poetry. Okay, poetry on this topic. Mr. Keesing was trying to play a joke on me with this subject, but I had made sure the joke was on him. Told you that Anne Frank, she was very clever. She was a clever girl. She thought, okay, he's trying to play a joke on me. I'm also not less than anyone. I'm also going to play a joke on him. Is he to play a joke on me? Okay, and I am going to prove my point, and that is what it does. I finished my poem, and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with 3 baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too. Luckily, Mr. Keesing took the joke the right way. He read the poem to the class, adding his own comments, and to several other classes as well. Since then, I have been allowed to talk, haven't been assigned any extra homework. On the contrary, Mr. Keesing's always making jokes these days. Now we see that Anne Frank was successful. She was absolutely successful in proving her point. She said that I finished my poem. She was able to finish her poem. And even Mr. Keesing wrote it. He appreciated it, and he took the joke in a right way. She wrote about a mother duck and her father swan, and about the 3 baby ducklings who were bitten to death by their father because they quacked so much. So she wrote a beautiful poem. It was widely accepted. It was, happily accepted by Mr. Keesing. Appreciated it so much so that he actually, used to recite the poem in other classes as well. He added his own comments, and he thought that okay, he has proved her point. And she also said that on the contrary, Keesing's always making jokes. Thought that okay, jokes, it's good to be humorous. And since the girl is so much humorous and everybody enjoyed it so much, and she has also proved her point, that why don't I also lighten down a bit, and I should also make jokes, and I should also lighten the mood a little. So we saw that actually been doing, and here diary yours, and so this was an entry in her diary. It chapter. If you are very much interested, if you're very much interested in knowing more about Anne Frank, you should actually the whole book. It's available on Amazon. Must read about it. Now, points to remember. This is a very long chapter, so we have divided in points. Anne Frank's first entry in the diary. She started writing the diary in 1942, which was a gift from her father. She called it Kitty. Now, the diary given by her father as a birthday. Started calling her Kitty and confided everything in her, as she thought that the diary was her best. He thought that the diary is a true friend that she was looking for. Her true friend was only in her imagination, but now it had come to reality, and started writing everything, confided all her secrets in her diary. Her childhood and family. Her father married her mother when she was 36 and her mother was 25. She had an elder sister, Margaret. They lived in Frankfurt, but because they were Jewish, they had to move. Now, unfortunately, because they were Jewish, they had to move to Holland. Okay, they had to hide there, and after that, they had to hide the father's quarters in order to get, save themselves from the Nazis. And schooling. She was sent to a Montessori school. At her farewell, her headmistress, Mrs. Cooperis, and she were in tears. So, we talk about her schooling, that she was very much attached to her no, headmistress. Was very much attached to Cooperis, and she was teary eyed mid farewell. Now, her grandmother's death. Her grandma died in 1941. She mentioned her in her diary and wrote about how much she loved and missed her. She also wrote about her grandmother, that how she died, and how she was so much in after her death, and how she never discussed it with other people, but she misses her so much. Loved her lot. Her view about teachers. Anne was not good at maths. She always considered teachers to be the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. She thought that the teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. This is here, this is where we the chapter. So, punishment. Okay, sorry. Punishment with Mr. Keesing. There is also. Anne was a good student and had a good relationship with all the teachers except Keesing, who taught her maths. He was always annoyed by her talkative. He used to give her extra homework as punishment. Asked her to box. Now, about Mr. Keesing. Mr. Keesing was also an important character in our life, who used to, get annoyed by her talkative nature. But he was quite convinced, because Anne was successful in doing so. She was able to convince him by writing very beautifully on all the three topics that he gave her. And Mr. Keesing appreciated her, and that is why it is written that she was very mature and she had an insightful mind. She had an insightful mind. That is why she was able to write so beautifully on these topics, and she was able to convince a rigid. Now, this is where we end the chapter finally, and this was a lovely chapter. And I'm telling you that if you need to know more about Anne Frank, you must read the whole book, The Diary of a Young book. Is also going to be here. I hope you understood the chapter. I hope you enjoyed the chapter thoroughly. The next class till then. Bye bye. Take care.